11th chapter. Okay.
Let's see. If hundreds of thousands of suns were to rise at once into the sky, their radiance might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universe. Oh, okay. The note that I've got is that that's his description of trying to explain how he might appear in his
universal form.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one, yeah, we will cover, I think mostly today itself we will be finishing that slokas, because this 11th chapter has got 55 verses. So maybe we will try to finish at least half of them today. So that way, yeah, if you have any questions regarding that, at that time also we can discuss that.
Okay.
So I will start now. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Radhanath Swami Niti Namini. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarini. Om Jnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurumilitam Mena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Shiyuta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sakagana Ragunadanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaidam Savadutam Parijana Sagitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sakagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagat Pade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namo Sute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhye Vachapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Isvaraha Paramaha Krishnaha Satchidananda Vigraha Anadi Radir Govindaha Sarvakarana Karanam. Hare Krishna. So we are now going to start 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So until last week we finished 10 chapters in Bhagavad Gita, which has got 18 chapters. So we know that Bhagavad Gita was spoken actually when Arjuna asked Krishna to tell him what is good for him. So at that point of time only, Krishna gave this Bhagavad Gita knowledge. So even though Krishna is the Supreme Lord, that's what we understand in Bhagavad Gita. And even though Krishna was with Arjuna all the time as a childhood friend and cousin, and all the time, we are going to understand that intimate relationship between Krishna and Arjuna also in this 11th chapter as a very good friend. So they were very good friends from the beginning, from childhood. So, of course, they are cousins also. So, but only when Arjuna asked him to tell him what is good for him, you please tell. At that point of time only Krishna gave this knowledge to Arjuna. So that is the nature even for all of us also in this way. This Bhagavad Gita knowledge is available in a book form. Now it is online also is available. So, but until we go and look for it, until we go and ask for it, we are not going to get this knowledge. So that's why this Bhagavad Gita is the most confidential knowledge. So one has to seek for it. Otherwise, the reason is that otherwise, even if it is given to us, we won't be able to understand. First of all, we need to realize that this is a material realm. Means here everything is temporary. In this world, everything is temporary, and that is a problem. That's what we need to understand. So we need to understand that that is a problem for us. If we don't recognize, if we don't understand that, so that means we don't have knowledge. So knowledge, Krishna is teaching here, the knowledge is that the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease. So that's what is called knowledge. All these I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. So humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, that is ahankara, free from ahankara, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization, and philosophical search for the absolute truth. So all these things, Krishna is teaching that all these I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. So if we get all these things, if we understand that we are not the body, we are the soul, so that means we are having knowledge. So then we understand that our body is made up of these 5 great elements, Mahabhutani, then Ahankaro, false ego, then Buddhi, intelligence, then the unmanifested, there is Avyaktam, the 3 modes of material nature, and then 10 senses and the mind. There is Indriyani, Dasa Ekamcha, and then the 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, all these things, and the aggregate the life symptoms and convictions. All these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and interaction. So that way in Bhagavad Gita, we understand that we are not the body, but this body is made up of matter. So these 5 great elements. And now we need to realize and we understand that we are the soul, and we need to do what is good for ourselves. That's what is very important. Because senses are superior to dull matter, and mind is above the senses, and mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind, and soul is even higher than the intelligence. So we need to have this knowledge. We are the soul, and we need to understand, know the difference between mind, senses, intelligence, and all such things. And now, by knowing all those things, we need to know that, we need to understand that our sinful enemy is the desires in this material world. That's what is our sinful enemy. That's what is keeping us struggling in this material world. The reason we keep coming back to this temporary miserable world and the struggle, so it is because of their reason. So that way, if we understand this Bhagavad Gita, so then it is possible for us to get out of this struggle. So that way, the senses are superior to dull matter, mind is higher than the senses, and intelligence is higher than the mind. We need to understand. So that means we need to have intelligence. If we have intelligence, so then we can control the mind and control the senses, and then everything will be under the control of ourself, the soul, if we have intelligence. If we don't have, so then our life is actually will be full of struggle only. So that's what Krishna is teaching, that even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses can carry away our intelligence. So it all depends upon what our mind is doing. That's what is very important. So if our mind is actually focuses, so then we are in trouble. Focuses on the sense objects. Indriyanam ki charatam yanmanonu vidiyade tadasya harati prajnam vayurnavam ivam. So charata means it is roaming. The senses are roaming. So indriya means senses. The senses are roaming. And if we focus our mind on those roaming senses, so then our intelligence is also carried away. So that's why Krishna is teaching us that tasmadasya mahabahu nigrihitani sarvasa. So you control all those senses and bring it under the control of the self. Indriyani, indriya artebhyas. So from the senses, from the sense objects. So it should be under our control. So bring it and keep it under the control of the self. So that's what Krishna is teaching us. That's what Tasya Prajna Pratisthita. So that way this Bhagavad Gita is a very scientific knowledge teaching us about how to control our mind and how to control our senses. Because if our mind, we don't put efforts to control it, that means this mind is going to wander here and there. It's not going to stay in one place if we don't put effort. Because already in the 6th chapter, we studied and understood, even Arjuna told Krishna that mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. So that's what Arjuna told Krishna. It's very difficult for me to control the mind. That's what he told. So the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. Oh Krishna, and to subdue it, I think is more difficult than controlling the wind. That's what Arjuna. And Krishna also agreed. So it's undoubtedly difficult to curb the restless mind. That's what Krishna also agreed. But it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. So that's what one should do. So suitable practice and detachment. So that's what Krishna is teaching, that what that practice. So Krishna is teaching in the 6th chapter itself. He already taught that practice to Arjuna. But even after teaching that practice to Arjuna, Arjuna told Krishna that I don't think whatever the practice you have explained is possible for me to do. That's what he told. So the system of yoga, which you have summarized, appears impractical and unendurable to me. For the mind is restless and unsteady. Yoyam yogas tvaya proktaga samyena madhusudana etasyagam napasyami chanchalatva sthitim stiram. So whatever yoga, whatever you just explained to me, yoyam yogas tvaya proktaga means explained by you. So I don't think I can follow it. I can do it. Because mind is restless and unsteady. So yoyam yogas tvaya proktaga samyena madhusudana etasyagam napasyami chanchalatva sthitim stiran. So that's why Arjuna is telling Krishna, mind is restless and unsteady. That is same with all of us in this world. Every one of us in this world, our mind is always roaming here and there. Our senses are roaming here and there. Our mind is wandering here and there. So that is what is a big problem for all of us. Because each and every individual is separate. That's what we need to know. So if our mind is under our control, then we can be happy. If we let loose our mind and it goes here and there and brings all kinds of sufferings, so then we won't be happy. Because only if our mind is peaceful, then only we can be happy. That is the definition of happiness. Happiness itself is defined that only the status of our mind. If our mind is peaceful, we are happy. If our mind is not peaceful, then we are not going to be happy. That's what we need to understand. So that way, Krishna is saying that nasti buddhi ayuktasya, nacha ayuktasya bhavana, nacha abhavayataka santi, asantasya kutasukam. And how can there be any happiness without peace? So only the mind can be peaceful. So then only we can be happy. And how to achieve that peace of mind? So that peace of mind, so Krishna is teaching in Bhagavad Gita, that in the 6th chapter and in many chapters also, many slokas also, Krishna is teaching that by simply focusing that mind on Krishna, so then our mind will be peaceful. That's it. So we need to simply focus our mind on Krishna. We are focusing our mind on many things, different things in this material world. And all such things are bringing us distress only, miseries only. It's disturbing our mind. So nothing is making our mind peaceful. The reason is that everything is temporary. All enjoyment, material sense enjoyment, everything what we are doing here in this material world, So everything is temporary and brings a lot of distress. So that way, Krishna is teaching us that constantly, always, we should focus our mind on Krishna. So that is, every day, by studying this Bhagavad Gita, understanding this Bhagavad Gita, our mind is actually focusing on what Krishna is saying. So that way, we are connected with Krishna. So that is one way of connecting with Krishna. So that means whenever we find time, so always study Bhagavad Gita and get connected with Krishna. That is one important thing. And then second thing is that when, as Krishna is explaining, instructing us in this 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, so one should actually chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and then focus the mind on Krishna. So Manas Samyamya Matchitto. So that is another important way. So it is not another, it's all integral part. So studying Bhagavad Gita every day, understanding Bhagavad Gita, that way we are connected with Krishna and listening to Krishna. So, and then chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, fixing our mind on the transcendental sound vibration. So that's what is the practice. So that's why Krishna is teaching Arjuna, when Arjuna told that it's difficult for me to control the restless mind. So even though Krishna agreed, whatever you said is correct, it is difficult to control the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and with detachment. So that's what Krishna is teaching us. So it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. So if one is able to practice this, so every day, so this chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, so as in the way Krishna is asking us to do, that's what is very important. Sitting straight, don't look at any other directions, and chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and focusing our mind on the transcendental sound vibration. So from wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. Yato yato nischalati manaschanchalam astiram tatastato niyamyaitat atmanyeva vasam nayet. So that's what Krishna is teaching. One should bring it under the control of the Atma. Atmanyeva vasam. So that should be, that practice we need to do. And then also in the 6th chapter, Krishna is teaching us that one should regulate all the activities. So that way we will be able to be connected with Krishna. So that's what is yukta. So anything we do, it should be regulated. That's what is very important. So if we are not able to regulate, so that means we are not able to control our mind. So even eating and sleeping and all other activities, whatever we do, everything should be regulated. So that's very important. So that's what Krishna is teaching us then. That is known as yukta. If we do like that, so then our mind will become peaceful. So finally, our mind should become how peaceful. Krishna is giving a very nice analogy that yatha deepo nivatasto nengate sopama smrita yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogam atmana. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendental self. So that's how our mind should be. So like a lamp in a windless place does not waver. A candle in a windless place. So like that, our mind should not waver. It should not go anywhere. It should simply focus only on Krishna. Then only it is possible. Otherwise, it is not possible. If we don't focus our mind on Krishna, then our mind is going to waver. It is not going to sit in one place. That one place, that focusing our mind on Krishna only, so that is the only possible way that our mind is not going to go anywhere else. Otherwise, it is not possible. There is no other way. So that way, because with the Bhagavad Gita knowledge, first of all, we are having faith on Krishna. We are having faith on this Bhagavad Gita, and we are getting the knowledge, and we are realizing and understanding that we are the soul, we are not the body, and we understand about the relationship between soul, ourself, and mind, senses, intelligence, everything we understand. Now, we also understand that we are controlled by the 3 modes of material nature, and then we are struggling and suffering in this material world. So that way, if we actually focus what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, and simply focus our mind on Krishna, so then we are going to go to Krishna. So that's why Krishna is saying that the practice is what is very important. So that is abhyasa. So if we do that practice, then we will go to Krishna. So Krishna is saying that abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa nanyagaminam paramam purusham divyam yati partha anuchintayan. That's what he is teaching. So abhyasa yoga means the practice of meditation. That's why in the practice of meditation, abhyasa yoga. So if you are able to do this practice of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra without any deviation, na anya gamina. So without their being deviated. That's why na anya gamina. Then paramam purusham divyam yati partha anuchintya. So then we will be able to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Paramam purusham divyam. So that's what paramam purusham divyam yati partha anuchintayam. So always thinking of Krishna, constantly thinking of Krishna. So that's why partha anuchintayan. Anuchintayan means constantly thinking of Krishna. So then there is no deviation. Your mind, if we are able to do like that, so then we will be able to go to Krishna. So that's what the same thing Krishna is saying, same understanding he is giving in the next, in this chapter also. Like in the 14th sloka, for one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha. Because of this, his constant engagement in devotional service. So that's why for one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain. So he says that there is always ananya cheta. Again, ananya chetaga satatam yo mam smarati nityasaga tasyagam sulabhaka partha nitya yuktasya yoginaga. So that's what Krishna is saying. So for one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. So if we remember Krishna all the time, then it's very easy for us to go to Krishna. So that's what is very important. So when Arjuna said that it is so hard to remember Krishna, to go to him, Krishna is saying that just always remember me, then it is easy for you to come to me. So that's what Sulabhaga. Sulabhaga means easy. And how we can do that? We need to have the knowledge. We need to have this philosophy, this Bhagavad Gita. We need to have the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. So if we have this understanding, then we will be able to always remember Krishna. So that's what is very important. So we need to know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then we can always do that. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. So that's what is very important. So we should know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. So then we can actually go to Krishna. So whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of God. So Yomam evam asammuda jnanati purushottamam sasarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. So that way we are getting that knowledge, and we successfully finished 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita last week, and we understand about Krishna's vibhuti. So that means Krishna's opulence. So we understand that how Krishna is basically everything. In this way, whatever we see, so wherever all the skills or anything, whatever we see exceptional power, everything we need to understand that it is coming from Krishna only. That's what he says there. So know that all opulent, beautiful and glorious creations spring from but a part of my splendor. That's what Krishna is saying. So everything is coming from me. Yadyat vibhuti matsatvam srimadurjitam evava tadad evavagachatvam mama tejomsa sambhavam. So know that all opulent, beautiful and glorious creations spring from but a part of my splendor. And also he finished in the last sloka in the 10th chapter, Krishna told Arjuna, Atava bahunaitena kimnyatena tava Arjuna vishtabhyahamidam kritshnam ekam shena sito jagate. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. That's what Krishna is doing. So now Arjuna is actually asking Krishna to show his form supporting this entire universe. How is Krishna is saying that with a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. That's what Krishna is saying. So Vishtabhyaham idam Krishnam ekam sena stitho jagat. So in this world also, if anyone says anything, we want proof. So that's what we will ask. So same thing Arjuna is also asking here. So Arjuna is asking that Krishna also said in the 9th chapter, in the 4th slokam, that by me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. So now Arjuna wants to see his universal form. So that's why Arjuna is asking Krishna. So in the 11th chapter, that's what we are studying today. That is the universal form, Viswarupa. Arjuna said, by my hearing the instructions you have kindly given me about the most confidential spiritual subjects, my illusion has now been dispelled. So that's what he's saying. So now my illusion has been dispelled. So already Arjuna in the beginning told in the 2nd chapter 7th verse that Karpanya doso upagata svabhavaga prichamitvam dharma sammoda chetara. So dharma sammoda chetara means I lost all my composure because of my silly weakness. So now he is saying that my illusion has now been dispelled. So madhanugrahaya paramam, whatever for my benefit. So that's why you told. So now my illusion has been dispelled. So madhanugrahaya paramam guhyam adhyatma samyitam yatvayoktam vachastena mohoyam vigato mama. So that's what he said. So now, but Arjuna is also continuing and saying that I have heard in detail. So whatever you told, I have heard in detail about the bhavapyayavgi, appearance and disappearance of every living entity, and I have realized your inexhaustible glories. So now I understand, like you are the Supreme Lord, I understand about you and everything. But now I actually, even though I see you before me in your actual position, as you have described yourself. So I wish to see how you entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours. So, evam etat yadatatvam atmanam parameshwar. So, I am able to see you, but I want to see drashtumichami te rupam aiswaram purushottam. So, aiswaram means that wonderful form, the divine form. So, that purushottam, that aiswaram, that this viswarupa, that universal form, I want to see. So, if you think that I can see, if you think that I can see, manyase yadi tatsakyam maya drashtam iti prabhu, then you please show me. If you think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that unlimited universal self. That's what Arjuna is asking. So now Krishna is saying that the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Sri Bhagavan Vacha. So immediately, because Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that's what we understand from Bhagavad Gita. But if a devotee asks anything, he will immediately do that. So he is like a servant. So even though we say that God, we need to serve God, but he is actually serving us also. So that's what he did in the battlefield for Arjuna. He was riding Arjuna's chariot. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, O son of Pritha, see now my opulences, hundreds of thousands of varied, divine and multicolored forms. So that's what, hundreds of thousands of varied. So satosta sahasra. Sato means 100, sata. Sahasra means 1,000. So satosta sahasra means hundreds of thousands of nana vidani divyani nana varna kruti. So various divine forms. So with divine colors, multicolored. So that's what nana varna kruti nicha. You see that. So that's what Krishna is saying. So see here the different manifestations of Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Ashwini Kumaras, and all other demigods. So these things are all how when this universe was created. So it's all we need to study Srimad Bhagavatam to understand about who are Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Ashwini Kumaras, and all we need to understand. Already in the 10th chapter also, when Krishna said that how this universe was created, like when we studied in the 10th chapter, Krishna said that everything like the great 7 sages and before them the 4 other great sages and the Manus, progenitors of mankind, come from me, born from my mind, and all the living beings populating the various planets descend from them. So all such things here we understand. So that's what here Krishna is referring to them, all those like Adityas, Rudras, everyone. So Vasus, Aswini Kumaras. So Krishna is saying that you see all of them. And also in the 10th chapter, Krishna has said that Adityanam Aham Vishnu, Vasunam Pavakaschasmi, then Rudranam Sankarachasmi, all such things Krishna said. So that's what now he is saying, that now you see all of them in my universal form. So that's what he is saying. So whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see, and whatever you may want to see in the future, everything moving and non-moving, chara, achara, is here completely one place. Ekastam. Ekastam means in just one place, you can see everything in one place. So that's what Krishna is telling Arjuna. But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Natumam sakyashe drashtum anenaiva swachakshusa. Swachakshusa means with your present eyes. You cannot see me. Therefore, I give you divine eyes. Dadami, I will give you divyam dadami chakshu. Pasyame yogam aishwaram. Now you see me. So I will give you divine eyes. Divyam dadami. So that's what divyam dadami te chakshu. I will give you divine eyes. Using that, you can see me. So that's what Krishna is teaching. Natumam sakyashe drashtum anenaiva swachakshusha divyam dadami te chakshu pasyame yogam aishwaram. But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore, I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence. So that's what Krishna is teaching. So now, afterwards, Sanjaya is saying that, Sanjaya, we know that from the beginning, we understood that all these things are happening inside the palace. Sanjaya is narrating what is happening in the battlefield to Dhritarashtra, the king Dhritarashtra. Because Dhritarashtra is blind. And so that way Sanjaya is narrating to him what is happening here. And Sanjaya got this boon from Vyasadeva, who is the author of this Mahabharata. So he gave the boon to Sanjaya to hear what is happening in the battlefield, to see and hear what is happening in the battlefield. So that's why Sanjaya is actually saying that, O king, having spoken thus, the supreme lord of all mystic power, the personality of Godhead, displayed his universal form to Arjuna. So he displayed his universal form. So there, Arjuna saw, so this is what Sanjaya's view of universal form. In fact, we need to understand that Sanjaya really did not see the universal form the way Arjuna saw. Because we know that just before that we studied that Krishna gave special eyes, divine eyes to Arjuna to see the universal form. So whatever Sanjaya is explaining, so he is really not seeing the universal form the way Arjuna saw. So here Sanjaya is saying that Arjuna saw in that universal form, because Sanjaya is explaining based on what Arjuna is explaining to Krishna. Because Sanjaya was able to hear what Arjuna and Krishna they are speaking. So that's why Sanjaya, based on that, he is telling to Dhritarashtra that Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouths, unlimited eyes, unlimited wonderful visions. The form was decorated with many celestial ornaments and wore many divine and upraised weapons. So he wore celestial garlands and garments, and many divine scents were smeared over his body. All was wondrous, brilliant, unlimited, and all expanding. That's what Sanjaya was able to see. So, but at that time, what Sanjaya is telling that if hundreds of thousands of suns were to rise at once into the sky, their radiance might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. So, to that extent, if one sun itself is so bright, we cannot even see anything. If hundreds of suns, hundreds of thousands of suns, so that's why Divisurya Sahasrasya Bhavet yugabaduttida yadiva sadirshi sasyad basastasya mahatmanaha. So that's what. If hundreds of thousands of suns were to rise at once into the sky, their radiance might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. So that's what Sanjaya was actually explaining. And then Arjuna, actually at that time, Arjuna could see in the universal form of the Lord the unlimited expansions of the universe situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands. So these are all now Sanjaya is explaining to Dhritarashtra based on what Arjuna is telling Krishna. So now Arjuna is saying, then bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjuna bowed his head to offer obeisances with folded hands and began to pray to the Supreme Lord. So now in the next 15 slokas, 15 verses, this is what we are going to study and understand. What Arjuna is going to see in the universe. So in the universal form, Arjuna is explaining. So in fact, we are very fortunate to really understand what he saw in the universal form from these verses. Otherwise, it's very difficult even for us to, because first of all, divine eyes were needed to see Krishna's universal form. And Arjuna got that and he saw and he explained. So this is what we are going to understand. Arjuna is explaining to Krishna what he is seeing in his universal form. So that's why we are also understanding how the universal form Viswarupa looks like. My dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower as well as Lord Shiva and all the sages and divine serpents. So Arjuna could see everyone in Krishna's universal form. So that way Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has his own form. In fact, we are going to study and understand in this chapter towards the end. Like this is Viswarupa and Krishna also has got Devarupa. So that is his Devarupa, divine form. And Krishna also has got his Manusarupa. So Manusarupa is the human form. So the human form means with 2 hands. In the Devarupa with 4 hands. And then with Viswarupa, this universal form with thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of hands, bellies, everything. That's what we are going to study. So all these forms Krishna has got. So we cannot limit Krishna's actually in Krishna in any way. So because he's all opulent, he's all powerful. So Krishna is the source of everything. So there is no way we can limit Krishna that he will be like this only, like that only. So that is not possible. So that's what we need to understand. So here he is teaching, Arjuna is saying that, O Lord of the universe, O universal form, I see in your body many, many arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes expanded everywhere without limit. I see in you no end, no middle, and no beginning. So Krishna said in the 10th chapter, he said that I am the beginning, middle, and end of all living entities. That's what we study. Aham adischa, madhyamcha, bhutanam, anta evacha. That's what Krishna said. So I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. Aham adischa, madhyamcha, bhutanam, anta evacha. But here Arjuna is telling Krishna that I don't see any beginning, middle, and end. As far as Krishna is concerned, we cannot find any. So he's there in the universal form. Arjuna couldn't even say that it's starting from here or ending here. This is the middle, like that. So I couldn't see anything. That's what Arjuna is telling Krishna. I don't see any beginning. I see in you no end, no middle, and no beginning. Anadi madhyantam anantam. Then your form is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence spreading on all sides like blazing fire or the immeasurable radiance of the sun. Yet I see this glowing form everywhere adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs. You are the supreme primal objective. You are the ultimate resting place of all this universe. You are inexhaustible and you are the oldest. You are the maintainer of the eternal religion. the personality of God, and this is my opinion. So after seeing this, Arjuna, again, he's saying that you are without origin, middle, or end. So that's what he's saying. So again and again, he's saying that, like, Anadi Madhyantam Ananta Viryam Ananta Bahum Shashishurya Netram Pasyamitvam Deepta Huta Savaktram Swatejasa Vishwamidam Tapantam. You are without origin, middle, or end. Your glory is unlimited. You have numberless arms, and the sun and moon are your eyes. I see you with blazing fire coming forth from your mouth, burning this entire universe by your own radiance, like solar flare. So like that, here, everything Arjuna is able to see in Krishna's universal form. And then, although you are one, you spread throughout the sky and the planets and all space between. O great one, seeing this wondrous and terrible form, all the planetary systems are perturbed. All the hosts of demigods are surrendering before you and entering into you. Some of them, very much afraid, are offering prayers with folded hands. Hosts of great sages and perfected beings, crying all peace, are praying to you by singing the Vedic hymns. All the various manifestations of Lord Shiva, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Sadhyas, the Viswadevas, the two Ashvis, the Maruts, and the forefathers, the Gandharvas, the Yakshas, the Asuras, and the perfected demigods are beholding you in wonder. So that's what Arjuna could see in the universal form, he could see. So, Rudraditya Vasavo Yecha Sadhya Visveshvinau Marutaschosma Pascha Gandharva Yaksha Surasiddha Sangha Viksham Tetvam Vismitas Chaiva Sarve. So that's what Arjuna is saying that. I could see everything. So, O mighty armed one, all the planets with their demigods are disturbed at seeing your great form, with its many faces, eyes, arms, thighs, legs, and bellies, and your many terrible teeth. And as they are disturbed, so am I. I am also disturbed. O all-pervading Vishnu, seeing you with your many radiant colors touching the sky, your gaping mouths, and your great glowing eyes, my mind is perturbed by fear. I can no longer maintain my steadiness or equilibrium of mind. So basically, Viswarupa was not so pleasing to see, actually. Even though Arjuna wanted to see Krishna's Viswarupa, but now he is saying that I'm not able to maintain my steadiness anymore. My mind is perturbed by fear. Pravyatitam manome. So that's what my mind is perturbed by fear. So he is disturbed, actually, Arjuna. After seeing Krishna's universal form, Arjuna is actually disturbed. So he is telling Krishna that, O Lord of Lords, O refuge of the worlds, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance seeing thus your blazing death-like faces and awful teeth. Damstra Karalan. In all directions I am bewildered. So, Damsra Karalani Chathe Mukhani Dristvaiva Kalanala Sannibani Disho na jane nalabecha sharma prasida devesha jagan nivasa. That's what Krishna is, Arjuna is telling Krishna. So I am very disturbed. So now Arjuna is very much disturbed. All the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with their allied kings, and Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and our chief soldiers are rushing into your fearful mouth, and some I see trapped with heads smashed between your teeth. So there is Churnitaigi Uttamangai. So their heads are trapped and crushed, smashed between your teeth. That's what everybody, all his enemies in the opposite party. So Arjuna told Krishna that, how can I kill? Katham Bhishma Maham Sanke Dronam Cha Madhusudana Isubigi Pratiyotchami Pujargav Arisudana. That's what in the second chapter we studied. So how can I counterattack with arrows Bhishma and Drona who are worthy of my worship? So, but here he is seeing that all of them are getting crushed by Krishna's mouth. Everybody is getting into Krishna's mouth. So that's why they're rushing into a fearful mouth. So that's what we need to know here, that time is everything. So everything is destroyed. So that's why as the many waves of the rivers flow into the ocean, so do all these great warriors enter blazing into your mouths. Yatha nadina bhagavo bhuvegaga samudrame va bimukha dravanti tata tamami naraloka vira vishanti vatrani abhivijvalanti. That's what, as the many waves of rivers flow into the ocean, so do all these great warriors enter blazing into your mouth. And then Arjuna is continuing. I see all people rushing full speed into your mouth. Some full speed into your mouth as moths dash to destruction in a blazing fire. So that's what actually. Yatha pradiptham jwalanam patanga vishanti nasaya samruddha vegaga tathaiva nashaya vishanti lokas tavapi vaktrani samruddha vegaga. So I see everyone is rushing into your mouths, blazing fire. So they are all to destruction in a blazing fire. Oh Vishnu, I see you devouring all people from all sides with your flaming mouths, covering all the universe with your effulgence. You are manifest with terrible scorching rays. So that's what he is saying, that, O Lord of the Lords, so fierce of form, please tell me who you are. I offer my obeisances unto you. Please be gracious to me. You are the primal Lord. I want to know about you, for I do not know what your mission is. That's what Arjuna is asking. Akyahi me ko bhavan ugrarupo namostu te deva vara prasida vignatum ichchami bhavantamadhyam nahi prajanami tava pravrittim. So that's what he is saying. So now Arjuna is asking this very important question to Krishna, the universal form. So now he is asking him about who are you? So why you have come here? What your mission is there? I want to know more about you. So that's what he is asking. So we finished 31 verses in the 11th chapter, which has got 55 verses. So by next week, we can finish the 11th chapter, because Krishna is going to answer. Then Arjuna is again going to say some more things. Then Krishna is going to say even more things. So that way, this is a very, very nice subject, important subject. We are understanding how the Supreme Lord is expanding in this entire universe. So that way, Viswarupa, we are understanding. So now let us focus controlling our mind by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, by fixing our mind on the transcendental sound vibration. Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Radhanath Swaminiti Namini. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarini. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurumi Tamyena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, 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 Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare. Okay, you could understand everything today?
I could hear everything.
Okay.
I have a single question that's, I don't know, kind of a simplistic question, but does Arjuna keep the divine eyes that Krishna gave him following this scene? Because I haven't read past this section.
No. It is only to see the universal form, he got the divine eyes. Then afterwards, everything came back to normal. He was not keeping that same eyes afterwards. Again, because this kind of relationship cannot exist again all the time, because now he was very fearful and seeing the universal form, and he was very disturbed and all such things, correct? So that way, afterwards, he needs to again have that, again, he comes back and he realized that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and now he wanted to listen to him, what he wants, what Krishna wants him to do, he wanted to do all such things. So that way Arjuna again he came back to everything. Krishna also came back to his normal form. He was not showing his universal form. Arjuna's divine eyes also came back to normal. But it is not specifically any verses saying something like that, but we can understand from the rest of the chapters how it flows after this chapter, 11th chapter, from starting from the 12th chapter onward. So that we can understand. Yeah.
Okay.
So this just please tell me.
But obviously something changed sufficient that I've forgotten his name, the one who can see distances.
Yeah, Sanjaya.
Sanjaya, yes. But obviously something changed that he could see as well, even though he didn't have the divine eyes. So there was something there to change.
Yeah.
I'm not asking my question correctly, but
you are saying that even Sanjaya was able to see something like that? That's what you are saying, right?
Yeah.
No, actually what is happening here is that Sanjaya was able to hear whatever Arjuna is telling Krishna. So based on whatever he heard from Arjuna, he is telling Krishna. Of course, Sanjaya was able to see what's happening in the battlefield, definitely. So, but here everything is explaining to the king, Dhritarashtra, correct? So he was explaining everything based on what he had, correct? So in fact, this entire Bhagavad Gita is the complete narration by Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra. That's what this entire Bhagavad Gita, completely. So when we say, in fact, Vyasadeva, who wrote this Mahabharata, he here Sanjaya Vacha, that's what he says. Sanjaya said, or Dhritarashtra Vacha, Dhritarashtra said, Arjuna Vacha, and everything. So he is saying what is happening in the battlefield. So that way, it's really very hard to find out and say. Definitely, we know that Sanjaya was not at all seeing what Arjuna saw there. So that we know that because that's why Krishna, in fact, we are going to study in the rest of this chapter that Krishna also tells Arjuna that no one else other than you has seen this form before that. That's what he says. So
Okay.
that we are going to study. No one, Twadanyena nadrishta purvam. Nobody other than you has seen this form. That's what Krishna also tells Arjuna. So that way, Sanjay was not perturbed. He was not disturbed. So Arjuna is actually only after seeing the universal form, he was very, very perturbed, very, very disturbed actually. So, but Sanjay was able to say what is happening in the, like Arjuna's thing, he was able to hear. Whatever Arjuna was speaking to Krishna, universal form, he was able to fully hear and explaining. But whatever he could see, to a certain extent, maybe like the way he described everything is divine, like that only. He was not seeing that very terrible, with terrible teeth and scorching rays, all such things Sanjaya was not seeing.
Okay.
So that you understand, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any other questions today.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, I think this is a very interesting science, what we are trying to understand. Even with our modern science also, if we try to put this into that picture, we will be able to see, like even like few days ago also we sent, NASA sent us a telescope to see the universal form, universal basically, correct? So something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So we will again see you next week. So I think in 2 weeks semester is starting. Maybe Alec will come, I believe, by that time. So.
Okay. And I can try to remind people on the Slack that this is available. When does the new semester start?
18th, on 18th.
Okay.
On 18th. Yeah, we will find out how maybe if some more we can join, they will get benefited. That is the main thing. Anyway, I'm uploading this in the YouTube also. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next week.
See you next week. Thank you. Bye. Have a nice week. Thank you.